All right, now today you're going to be watching masterclass number 2, all on solo piano, how to play solo piano without reading other people's transcriptions. Now, if you haven't checked out masterclass number 1, go back and do that because I just released that previous to this episode. But this is going to be part of a 3-part masterclass live stream series that I did a couple weeks ago. And the reason for this is because I really want to take all the distilled information and education that I have due to these live programs I've been running. I've been seeing all of my students make such amazing results from this particular information that I'm releasing to you now in this 3-part masterclass. And it's all based around the 3 most coveted jazz piano goals. Number 1, how to play in a group or a band or accompany a vocalist or instrumentalist. 2, which is what you're going to see today, how to play solo piano without reading notation, without copying someone else's transcription of a tune. And number 3, which I'll release after this episode, it's going to be all on solo piano. Now, my live programs are currently open for enrollment. They're open once a year. If you are interested, you can go to jazzpianoschool.com/small group or just shoot me an email at brendanlowe@jazzpianoschool.com or support@jazzpianoschool.com. Is that enough options for you? I think so. But with all that being said, let's dive into this episode, which is going to be all on solo piano. And I promise you, with the template and systematic process I'm about to teach you in this video, you're going to be able to open up to any real book tune and know exactly what to do to perform and play beautiful, lush jazz standards in a solo piano style like you've always wanted. Okay, let's dive in.
All right, how's everyone doing today? Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, if you've been here before, you guys know the spiel. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear the piano okay. If you need any adjustments, my name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. This is going to be super, super fun today. And my live stream is working. Okay, so I'm going to click off that. I'm going to open the chat on my side. I'm really excited about today. Solo piano is super fun, obviously. It's kind of like the second most coveted goal in jazz piano. Great. Just want to say hi to a couple people before I get started. Bruce, Roger, Mike, John. How you guys doing? Meg, Shell. Great. A lot of familiar, I was going to say faces, but I don't really know what some of you guys look like, so a lot of familiar names. Losis, music channel. Cool. Bob from Chicago. Awesome. Michael. Great. And everyone else who's watching. I would really love this to be engaging as possible. So please, please, please use the chat. And I'm going to be asking you guys questions. Wow, we have someone from Tel Aviv. That's amazing. I think I've seen you before personally. My best man in my wedding next year is from Israel, from Tel Aviv. He has a lot of family there. He lives in Boston now. That's cool. Hey, Randy. So I'm going to be going over solo piano today. And this is going to be the second most coveted goal, most desired goal in jazz piano. And it's the second hardest to achieve because we, as a pianist, have to do everything. We have to cover it all, right? When we're playing in a group, which I went over yesterday, I went over comping in a group. You have the bass player, you have the drums, and if you have a vocalist or an instrumentalist playing the melody, you really don't need to do that much. You just need to play chords. But as playing solo piano, right, what do we have to cover? We have to play the melody. We have to cover the bass player's role, right? We have to play our bass notes. That's a huge thing that I don't see enough students do. We have to cover the harmonies, the chords, get those in. And what else do we have to do? We have to cover the rhythm. Okay? And then everything else, like in between, if we want a solo or stuff like that. Now, I'm going to be going over improvisation tomorrow, which is the hardest goal. I would say the list of goals isn't ordered in the most desired, but I've listed them in the hardest, from easiest to hardest to achieve in your jazz piano journey. So number 1, how to play in a band, group, or accompany an instrumentalist is the easiest to achieve. It's still not easy by any means, but it's the easiest of the 3 most desired goals in jazz piano. Number 2 is going to be what we're doing today, solo piano. And number 3 is improvisation. Now, improvisation, hey Leroy, improvisation has really 2 main categories: improv and solo piano, and improv in a band. Now, which one of those goals, that's like a split, a goal split for goal 3, improv, which one of those do you think is the easiest to achieve? The easier of the two to achieve, right? Well, improv in a band, because you don't need to account for all that other stuff I just told you. So thank you all so much for being here today. The reason that I'm putting on this 3-part masterclass series, which I'm going to repurpose into a podcast. So these will be 3 episodes on the Jazz Piano School podcast that you can go back and watch and listen to. They'll be published on our channel. And so you can always go back and watch that. But the reason I'm doing this is really because I've distilled a lot of the education that I'm going over now in my private programs that I'm currently running, and they are open for enrollment. Okay, and so if you are interested, one of the reasons that I'm doing this is to get this information out there, because it's so important. The other information is to promote my programs because they've been so wildly successful. And, I don't say that to toot my own horn. I just am very excited about the progress in the results that the students are seeing inside the program, because I truly believe it is one of the easiest, fastest ways to break through all your plateaus and really kind of get a hold of all the goals that you are trying to achieve in the fastest manner possible. There is an investment, clearly, because you're going to be working with me privately. You're going to be within a small cohort of students. There's a 90-day program and a 9-month program, which is my Inner Circle Mastermind. They are open until September 5th, in which they will close. Or if the spots run out in the program before that, they will close as well. So currently, I believe I have 8 spots left. Someone just signed up this morning for my Accelerator program, and I believe there's about 2 or 3 spots left in my Inner Circle 9-month Mastermind program. If you guys are interested in that, just send an email to support@jazzpianoschool.com, or email me personally at Brendan Lowe at jazzpianoschool.com, BRENDEN Lowe at jazzpianoschool.com, and I can have a conversation with you about all that entails, studying with me personally. I don't think I'm going to be doing the Accelerator program personally anymore. Sterling, Trent, and Bijan and my educators will be running those, just because I'm doing both programs right now at once. So like I am running everything, and it's I don't like to say I get overwhelmed, because I don't easily. I'm pretty task oriented, but it is a lot. And so it's going to be one of the ways to access me and custom lesson plans in the Accelerator program. And then probably next year, my educators will be running that, and the way to get a hold of me or get access to my teaching will be just within my Inner Circle Mastermind. Enough plugs. Let's get going. So I want to start out by going over 4 different styles. I was going to start out by asking you guys a question, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I want you to start to break down your solo piano standards that you play, any solo piano standards, into 4, I shouldn't say styles, excuse me, that's incorrect, 4 tempos: ballads, slow swing, medium swing, fast swing. I wish I could type in the chat here, but I can't. That's too bad. Okay. That's all right. But if you are by computer, write this down. It's very important. Ballads, slow swing, which is not a ballad, it's just a slow swing, medium swing, and fast swing. All right. Now, when we play ballads, that's one approach. That's one methodology of playing solo piano that's going to be the easiest to achieve and work on. So I would say if you gave me a week or 2 weeks with you, this is what's happening in my Accelerator program, I could get you playing almost any ballad in 2 weeks and make it sound beautiful. Who would like to learn how to do that? Go ahead and type yes in the chat if you're looking to do that. A lot of my students love ballads, right? Ballads are gorgeous. They're gorgeous. They're slow. They're beautiful, lush, right? Ballads aren't for everyone. Yes, Steve says yes. Cool. I'm going to wait for you guys. I know there is a little bit of delay. Yes, Julie. Awesome. Okay, great. This is the tune My Ship, okay? Losa says yes, yes. Awesome, Lori. Yes. 2 exclamation points. I love the energy, Lori. That's great. This is the tune My Ship. Fantastic tune. Gershwin? No. Kurt Weill. Oh, Ira wrote the lyrics to this. Cool. This is a gorgeous tune. Medium swing only. That's funny. Love ballads, my favorite, Roger. Okay, great. Step number 1. I'm going to go through these rather quickly because they're actually very, very simple. Step number 1. If any of you guys have watched Gordon Ramsay, he's very distinct and clear about the steps. He's like, put oil in frying pan. Take meat, put on frying pan. I love that. I love his method of teaching. Cooking. Step number 1. Take your shells, your 3rd and 7, put them under the chord and align them with the melody. So anytime you see a chord, okay, I'm going to play bass notes in my left hand. And we don't want our bass notes up here around middle C. This is C3 on the piano, so it's the 3rd C on the piano. We want our bass notes at least here. This is probably the highest we want our bass notes, or lower, like down here, C1. 99% of students I see are playing bass notes up here in their solo piano. It's way too high. Think about where a bass player, an actual bass player, the sound of their bass is down here in this low end or here, right? So you got to get your bass notes down because that will give you a lush sound. So that's the first tip. Okay, play the melody on the chord change when it happens on this F6-9 chord. I'm going to play the melody and I'm going to place my 2 shells underneath the melody. Now, I've just played a 4-note harmonization. I have the melody on top, I have my bass notes on the bottom, and I have my 2 shells in the middle. And guys, if you already know how to do this, don't worry, we're going to get super advanced super quickly, okay? So, this is the first step, if you're a beginner, that you should be aiming for in your ballads. Again, this is just a ballad approach. This is not a slow swing, medium swing, or fast swing approach, okay? So, I have the 6, because this is a 6-9 chord. I have the 3rd and I have the melody. Now I'm on the D7 chord. I have my melody, my bass note, and my shells under my melody. My shells are my 3rd and 7 of the chord that I'm playing. 3rd, 7, and I've placed them directly under the melody. I'm gonna play the shells, lift my hand, play the next melody notes, A to C. So every time there's a chord there, I'm playing the melody and I'm harmonizing the melody with the shells as a full chord, and then I'm lifting my hand and going to the next melody note. So this is a very easy process. This is step 1. This is my sus chord. I have 4 and 7 in melody on the D natural, the word silk. And then when there's no melody over top of a chord, this is kind of confusing on this lead sheet, but that C, the C sus resolves to the C on the downbeat of 4 where there's a rest there in the music. So I'm going to play shells by themselves without the melody, then I'm going to lift and play my next melody. I don't like the C minor 7 flat 5, so I'm going to skip it. Now here, when we have a minor 7 flat 5, we need the flat 5 in there, right? So you're actually going to have 3 notes here, right? You have the 3rd, the flat 5, the 7, and the melody. Okay? And then again, the B flat is over top of beat 3 where there is no melody. So I'm going to play shells by themselves with the bass note. You see how low my bass notes are though right now? This is almost the lowest A on the piano. It's A2. So to get a beautiful lush sound out of your solo piano, you actually need to move your bass notes down. Okay, but this step 1 template, again, left hand bass notes, shells in the middle, and melody on top. And you're harmonizing all with your right hand right now. If you are with me and you understand this step, go ahead and write, I'm with you. I couldn't come up with something to write. Or just write yes in the chat, okay? That's an easy first step. Very, very easy. Now, the way to practice this is you want to be able to, okay, so there's a difference between knowing what to do, right? And actually being able to execute it. So most people that I teach this to, it's very easy to understand. I'm sure all of you can understand what I'm doing. But when you go to the piano to try and execute it, it's much harder than it seems, right? The reason for that is because your recall and location of these shells takes you a long time. So what do you need to practice? You need to practice your shells. You need to know your shells like the back of your hand so that when you go to play this, you can find your shells really, really fast, because it's the hesitation, it's the doubt, or the searching for your shells that stops you or prohibits 99% of students from using this template right out of the gate. It's a very easy way to play solo piano, and it can sound beautiful. Like, you can play all ballads like this and impress your friends, or even just sound great. Check it out. Sorry. That's a great way to play a ballad. And if you're a beginner, I'm sure like everyone would be happy, like as a beginner, to play through a ballad like that. And that's the very first step. Like if you started to play that on the piano for someone, they'd be like, oh my goodness, you're like fantastic. And the sad part is, the disappointing part is, most students don't even get there. Right? And I'm telling you, all you need to do, practice your shells to all chords, your 2-5-1s. Sorry. Isolate your shells, practice all your minor shells. These are all my minor shells, right? 7 on the bottom and 3 on the bottom. So here's my C minor 7. Here's my C minor 7, F minor 7, B flat minor 7. E flat minor 7. You just have to practice working in your shells, okay? So Losis has a great question here. How about the rhythm groove in this template? It's a ballad, right? So there actually isn't much rhythm. There's no swing to ballads if you're playing a straight eighth ballad. So what I'm teaching you all right now is a straight eighth approach method to playing ballads. If I were to swing this, that would be a slow swing. Okay, I'm going to get there in just a second. So that might sound like this. Something like that. That wasn't the best example, but I'll get there in just a second. So adding rhythm or groove is actually going to be for a different style, right? A different style. So you don't want to get that confused with this. A straight eighth ballad is straight eighths, smooth and pretty, beautiful, lush, and simple. So this is step 1. Now step 2, to harmonize or fill this a little bit more. Let's say you've got step 1 down. Now again, step 1 isn't easy by any means, but what we're going to do now, instead of having our shells both in our right hand underneath the melody, we're going to split our shells. So my thumb is actually going to take 1 and a shell. It's either going to have 1 and 7, 1 and 3, or 1 and 10. For the most part, I almost never play 1 and 3 because it's too close of an interval in my left hand. Your left hand, the low end of the piano, likes far spread out intervals. It likes 7s, 5ths, 10ths. When your left hand is in the low end of the piano, playing thirds is the interval is too close together, and so it gets muddy. So I rarely ever use that. I might use that up here and then jump down to a bass note to get a low end lush sound, okay? In my right hand though, my right hand's gonna have the melody and 1 shell. So again, like I said, I'm going to play this. So now I'm splitting the shells between my thumbs for the most part. I have my melody on top, my bass note on the bottom. Now check it out. Here, before what I did was I did this, okay? So there's no way my pinky, my left hand, can reach this C. Right? So what do we have to do now? We have to flip the shells into their other inversion. So now our shells are going to be more in the middle of the piano here, right? So I'm playing 1, 3. So essentially I've taken the 3 from up here and I placed it down here. Okay, so I'm going to let go of this and I'm going to play my bass note. Now this is a 10th. Not every student can play a 10th. That's okay. We can just roll this, right? So I can jump from my pinky to this, or like I just said, I can play a third here and then jump down. Either one is okay. So it would sound like this. Here's my third bass note, right? Or the roll here, like that, is going to sound like this. And you want the shell note to be on the downbeat, okay, with the melody and the extension. Randall says, what about 1 and 5 left hand, shells and extensions in right hand? Yes, Randall, we're going to get there in just a second, okay? 1s and 5s are great. I'll answer your question really fast, but we will get to that question real quick. But the reason that I like taking a shell in my left hand, okay, this is going to demystify 1 and 5 for you forever. Anytime you are reading transcriptions of solo piano and stuff, the 1 and 5, if you play 1 and 5, that means my right hand has to take the shells, like Randall just said. Now, when my right hand has both shells, it takes away from the fingers in my right hand, the free fingers in my right hand that I can use to play extensions. I'll say that again. When my right hand has both shells and my left hand's playing a 1 and 5, it takes away from the free fingers that I have to use to play extra colors that I want to express myself on the piano. So unless you're going to hit a 1 and 5 kind of and then jump up to like a voicing, it can be utilized. I still utilize it, but I do it in a very advanced manner. So it's not really to be utilized for a beginner. I'll play 1, 5, and 3. So my left hand's still taking a shell. That way it's not interfering with my right hand. So I'll play 1, 5, and 10, or I'll play 1, 7, 10. This way my bass note and shells are covered. Now guess what? I have 4 fingers here free to play any extensions I want. And again, we'll get there in just a second, okay? But yes, Randall, great question. So now we're here. I'm splitting my shells. This is step 2, guys. Step 2. And I would say my recommendation to you as a professional teacher, professional player, is to really work on each one of these steps individually. If you can't do step 1, guess what? You can't do step 2. You can't do step 3, right? If you can't open up to any tune in the real book and just put your shells under your melody like this is the most simple step. Then all the other stuff that I'm about to teach you, it's not going to work. It's not going to fall into place. It might a little bit, right? And you might be like, oh, I'm kind of getting it. But the reason you're really not making a lot of advanced progress is because you're not building a strong foundation. So here's step 2, splitting the shells. Check out this spread on the G minor 7. This is a gorgeous spread. I have 1, 10, 7, melody. Right? And I'm going to fill this in just a second and create some beautiful things. I love this minor major chord here. 1, 7, 3. So again, this is step 2, guys. I have 2 shells split between my thumbs, melody, bass note. Right? And then here, check out this spread on the D minor 7. Melody, 1, 10, 7. And again, everyone, if you can't reach your tenths, play a third and then jump down to a bass note, or just roll your 10. Just do that. Okay? This is step 2. Who is with me on this step? Just go ahead and type, yes, I'm with you. This is step 2. Right? Also, let me know, how many of you need to work on step 1? How many of you do you think you can open up to any ballad in the real book and pull off step 1 without practicing? Like you can just open up to a ballad and place both shells underneath the melody like this and play through the entire ballad. Cool, cool, cool. A lot of people with me here. I think your yeses are for you're with me. I'm still at step. Well, Steven's still at step 1. Cool. Step 1. Okay, great. Perfect. That's fine. That's totally fine. And if you really work hard at step 1, that's going to get you like 80% of the way. Okay? Step 2, all you got to do is split the shells between your thumbs now. Have to admit I'm embarrassed. That's okay. It's okay, everyone. This is exactly what this is for, because what my job as a teacher is to really pull back the curtain on what we think we can and cannot do. And like I said yesterday in my masterclass, 99% of my students in the programs, the Accelerator program and the Mastermind program, are drastically overestimating their abilities to do things. We think we can do things, but like, can we really? And it's my job to actually pull back the curtain and say, you know, unfortunately, this needs to be like 75% better in order for you to actually start experiencing your goal and accomplishing your goal. And that's okay. That just means you have more work to do, more focus in just one category, which is going to get you there, which is awesome. You know, it's a great thing. So we just covered step 2. We're splitting the shells. Now, back to Randall's point. What do we do from here? So we have the basis of foundation, okay? This is like the template that you can start to express yourself now in however you want. So what we're going to do here is from here, I can start to add more chord tones if you're at that level. So I can start to fill in my harmonization now with chord tones. You can pick any chord tones you want from the chord. Now your chord tones are the 4 notes from the chord. So there's 4 chord tones in every chord. That's going to be essentially step 3A. I'll just call it step 3. Step 4 is chord tones and extensions. Okay, chord tones and extensions. So we're just going to do step 3 now. I'm going to fill this in with chord tones. So I'm going to pick any chord tones. So watch, check it out. So here's my template. This should always be your basis template. So I'm going to put the root in there. I'm going to put the 5 in there. Yeah, Roger says, understanding is easy, doing ain't. Exactly. So, like, it's very simple technically in our mind, theoretically, but, like, executing it is very hard. Like I said yesterday, too, for all you that weren't there, if you have a map to the top of Mount Everest, it can look pretty easy on the map, right? But clearly, getting to the top of Mount Everest is, like, good luck, right? But, you know, shouldn't be, I don't want to try and just, you know, obviously getting to this point in jazz piano shouldn't be that hard, right? But all you guys got to do is just really isolate your practice, 15 minutes a day, work on your shells. Just focus on one thing. So many of us are scatterbrained. We go on YouTube, we practice improv, we practice comping, we practice voicing. Just work on this for like 6 weeks. If you just focus on each one of these steps for 6 weeks, I promise you, you'll make more progress than you ever have in the last like 3 to 5 years. I promise you. Just focus on one thing. That's it. You'll make so much more progress. All right, here we go. Now I'm filling in. So here's my setup. Here's the basis. I'm going to put a whole chord in here with my 3 extra fingers. I'm going to put the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Right? Okay, so again, here's my template, bass note, shells, melody. I'm going to fill with the 5 and the 7, and let's put the root in there. Now again, when there is no melody note, I can fill with the whole chord however I want. So I'm going to put the melody here. Actually, I'm sorry, there is a melody on the C sus chord. So I have 1, 4, the sus 4, right? Suspended 4, 5, 7, melody. And now on my C7, I'm going to play 3, 5, 7 instead of just shells. I'm adding the 5. I like to play the root in the 7 with my thumb, because that way I don't have to do this. This is a little trick, guys. Instead of playing the root with my index finger, it's much easier for me to do this. Right? So I can play 2 notes with my thumb, and this is an easier hand position. Okay, it also leaves me extra possibilities on the next step for colors and extensions. Where am I at? D. Oh, yeah. Okay, B flat 7. There's no melody here, so I can do whatever I want. I'll do this. Again, I'll add in the root here. Again here. That same voicing's fine. Now here, check this out. That's very pretty. So here's our template, right? Bass note, shells, melody. I'm going to fill with the 5, the root, and the 3rd. Step 3 is the melody still the top note. Losis, the melody is always the top note. It should always be, most of the time, in your pinky. Most of the time I'm playing the melody with my pinky, by the way, which like a lot of students have said is a revelation when I say this, because I need my other fingers down here to harmonize below the melody. So like every time the melody note aligns with a chord, play the melody with your pinky, everyone. If there's anything you could probably take away from this, play melody notes with your pinky underneath chords so that you can accomplish this step, because you need your other fingers below the chord to harmonize with the chord, right? For example, on the G minor, right? So pinky on top on the melody, I'm gonna play 5, shell, 7, and root. Right? Again, if I take away the chord tones, it's just this, and then I add 3 notes in, and I'm just choosing random notes from the chord, and I'm putting all those in. And again, this is going to be a beautiful chord. Ready? Woo, hoo, hoo, hoo. Oh, it doesn't go to the G. Too bad. I wish it did. I love the 4 minor here. This is a 4 minor major chord. So I have 1, 7. Here's my step 3. Bass note, shells, melody on top. I'm adding the root, the 5. Oh, did I add the G? Yeah, don't add the G. It's not the melody note. That's an extension. Okay, but that's a beautiful chord in itself. Anyway, that's step 4, everyone. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm keeping going, right? We're moving through these. I got a lot to cover. We got to get into slow swing, medium swing, and fast swing. Luckily, the strategies don't really change for medium swing and fast swing and slow swing-ish. That methodology really holds true. It holds the same for all those styles. Okay? So now, let's get into what Randall was saying. How do we start to create these beautiful colors, these beautiful extensions? And each one of these steps, it's a process, everyone. It's a process. I would say a 1 to 2 month process, but if you focus on just one step for 6 to 8 weeks, you really work. Again, and please don't try to work. The way you're going to get fast at this is not by trying to play tunes. The way you're going to get fast at this is by drilling the stuff you need to know and getting it so spontaneously that it comes out naturally. You need to know your shells so well that when you get to a tune and you see a chord, you can voice it with the melody, bass note, and shells right in the middle. Like, you got to know your shells so well. Just by playing through tunes in this manner, that's not going to help you get better. The way to get yourself better is by splitting your shells, going through 2-5-1s. Play 1 and 7, 3. Okay, take this setup, go through your circle of 4ths for all your minor chords. Right? How many of you think you could do this exercise? 1 and 7, 3. 1 and 7, 3. 1 and 7, 3. Right? And go through all your minor chords, because this is the exact setup you're going to use in tunes. So if you can drill this stuff, right, then when you get to the tune, it's going to be easy. Again, the greatest analogy is like baseball pitchers. They're not practicing pitches in the game. That's ludicrous. Can you imagine if a pitcher was trying to throw a slider and he's like, oh, I've never done it before. I'm just going to practice in the game. Right? He would get destroyed. It's the same thing in here, but with traditional jazz education, all of the students, and even myself, I was like, oh, if I just play more tunes in this way, I'm going to get better. That's not how it works. You need to practice outside the game. You need to practice outside the tune. You need to drill the slider. You need to work on the technique, work on it slowly. And then when it comes game time, when it comes time for you to open up to a tune, guess what? You're ready. You're ready to execute and play the tune beautifully. The tune isn't the way to practice. The drills are, okay? All right, let's add some cool extensions. So now, this was step 4. I added chord tones. I'm going to take some of the chord tones away because I want more free fingers. I want to free up my fingers to play extensions. So you need to know what your extensions are. So that's a drill, right? You need to know where your 9s are, your flat 9s, your sharp 9s, your flat 13s, your natural 13s, you know, all that good stuff. So I'm going to throw a 9 in here, but everything else is pretty much the same. So before I played the root, I'm just going to change that to a 9. I have 1, 6, shells, melody. That's my step 3. That's my template. I'm going to add the 9 and the 5. There's my beautiful lush chord. Now check it out. I have my template here. 1, 10, 7, melody. I'm going to add the flat 9 and the 5. Maybe I'll add the third too. Why not, right? Just to thicken out the chord. It's completely up to you, right? It doesn't matter. It's your choice. At this point, you can choose how to arrange the tune however you want, right? So let's do this. Again, here's my template. Here's my addition. Template, addition. Okay? Check this out. Woo! I have 1, 7, 3. Here's my template. Here's my addition. Just one extension. The melody is already an extension. So that's a gorgeous color note. Pay attention to your melodies, everyone. If the notes in the melody are an extension already, then that's already coloring your arrangement, right? So in this case, the melody note is a 9. I'm going to add the 13. The chord change also says 13. You don't always have to do what this chord symbol says, but I'm going to add that 13 in the middle here. Template, extension, template, extension. I'm going to play a regular sus chord now over the C7. Guess what? It's free reign for me because there's no melody note over top of that rest, so I can play this C7 chord however I want. So I'm going to play my template, shells. I'm going to add the 5 and flat 9. So I'm going to do this. Maybe I'll do altered, right? It's completely up to me. Because there's no melody note there, I can just harmonize the chord however I want. Losis has a great question. This is great questions, everyone. Thank you so much for asking this, Losis. This is a challenging step. Yes, this is the most challenging step, I would say, in solo piano ballads for sure. Are you adding extensions by ear or by academic technique in scale mode definitions? I'm adding extensions, Losis, based on what extensions can be placed in chords. So it's not by ear. Like, I know what extensions are going to sound like, but for the most part, chords by definition take on extensions traditionally, a certain set of extensions. For example, a major 6 chord, like this F6 chord, traditionally you can add a 9 to it or or like a sharp 11 if you want. Okay, I know what these sound like, so this is going to kind of create a a mysterious sound with that sharp 11 in there. So traditionally, each chord takes on a certain set of extensions. Hopefully that's what you wanted me to say. So each chord can take a certain set of extensions, meaning like if a quality of a chord. So all 6th chords, traditionally you can add a 9 or a sharp 11 to them. There's only 2 extensions that can go with that chord. So I'm choosing randomly what extensions I want to add. If I chose to add the sharp 11, you guys can experiment with this and see what it sounds like. So again, always start with your template here and then throw in the sharp 11 and see what it sounds like. That's a cool color. I don't dislike that. It's kind of out there for this traditional classic ballad, but that's okay. I could also add the 9 too. That's more of a modern sound, right? Now, dominant chords, is there an A crib sheet for which chord can take correct extensions? Yes. Yeah, honestly, if you just Google it, just Google what extensions go with what chords, you'll find a slew of information. in the Jazz Piano School podcast, I have like 10 podcast episodes on extensions and utilizing extensions, what extensions go with which chords too. So you can just go to the YouTube Jazz Piano School channel or go on iTunes and go to Jazz Piano School podcast and just type in extensions, and you should find multiple podcast episodes on this. For a D7 chord, right? For the dominant chord can take the most extensions. So here, I can have a natural 9. The chart does say flat 9, so that's why I added the flat 9, but I could add a sharp 9 if I wanted to. That's pretty out, right? A sharp 9 is used stylistically a lot for funk and soul and different kind of like harsh harmonies. That's why, I chose not to really use that. But let's say you are rearranging this and you wanted to kind of give it some like rub, some spice. So you could go, that's a cool chord. I like the sharp 9 in there, right? 13, C sus, altered. I put the sharp 11 in that time on the F6 chord. Now here, sometimes where the melody is in combination with the bass note doesn't give you that many options for extensions. Like a 9 and 11 is available here as an extension over a minor 7 flat 5 chords, but like if I were to play a 9 here, that's kind of cool. Like I like that. That's a thick sound for sure. Maybe I would just do this to thin it out a little bit. Whoops, I need the flat 5 in there. Right, so that kind of sounds cool. So I got I got my template here. Always get your template in. Bass note, shells, melody. I'm missing a shell down here. By the way, guys, an advanced technique, if the melody, I didn't say this before, but if the melody note is a shell note, you don't have to double it down here between your bass note and melody. So the melody note in this case is a D. I don't really need to double that because the melody note is holding that harmony as a shell note. So I'm going to leave that out, but that's a very advanced technique. Don't start like that, okay? So I'll throw the 9 in there. I actually really like the sound of that. So here's my double treble. Yes, I'm gonna repurpose these live streams as podcasts. So you're gonna see all 3 parts come out on the podcast, so you guys can re-listen and re-watch. You can watch on YouTube or you can listen on the podcast channel, okay? So again, here it is. That's cool. I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. But that's essentially for ballads, the last step of creating beautiful ballads. Let me just play through this how I would now. I'll choose my extensions on the spot, right? When you get to a very advanced level, you can pick and choose your extensions however you want. It's not going to be much different from what I just gave you guys. It's just faster. Here's love that 9. Ooh, they have the sharp 11 in there. So here's my sharp 11, right? So I'm going to throw that sharp 11 in there with the flat 9 in the melody on the E flat chord. Now clearly, runs, reharms, slides, passing chords, these are all textures that it layer on top of everything I'm teaching you, right? So those are the flavors, the spices. But at the heart of everything that I'm showing you, the foundation is everything I've taught you today. Now, clearly, if I were playing this, I'm going to add elegance to it, right? I'm going to add flourishes, different ornamental stuff. Tritone reharms, block chords. Didn't do that too well. right? So all this starts to come together, but at the heart of everything I'm doing, the very first steps that I've shown you is exactly what you should be working on. And then start to layer on the flurries, the fun stuff, the advanced, I shouldn't say fun stuff, the advanced stuff, the spices on top. So many people try to work on passing chords first, reharms, fills. That's not what's giving you the meat and potatoes to actually learn how to play these songs in a solo piano way, okay? Curiosity question, do you ever play the same ballad twice the same way? Yeah, sometimes. Like tunes usually play themselves. You know, like unless I'm really trying to go for a way out there creative arrangement, the tune kind of lends itself to certain harmonizations because of where the melody is and what the chord is. So like I could choose a different bass note down here. If I put my different bass note down here, but my harmonies really, because I have a melody note up here, I have D7 here, so I got to get my shells in somewhere. The template I'm showing you guys really kind of lends itself to doing the exact same thing on all tunes. The thing that changes is the extensions, right? So I might put in your flat 9 here. I might take a sus chord on the G7. This is very pretty. Sus, tritone, reharms will change it up. But for the most part, I'm harmonizing the tunes exactly as they are, okay? Now, let me go to, let's see if I can kind of randomly find a slow swing here. To approach with you guys. Come on, give me something. This is Real Book New Reel 2. I don't really know this one. That's a weird tune, but yeah. Yeah, this could work. Let's try this. I actually don't really know this Frank Lesser tune. Frank Lesser wrote Guys and Dolls, the music of the Guys and Dolls, and the very famous tune that Miles made famous, If I Were a Bell. Great composer. But this is Never Will I Marry. I'm really not familiar with this one. So this will be fun, actually, for me to teach upon. I just wanted to show you the title there. But anyway, here we are. So what BPM are we referring to in a slow swing? That's a great question, Tom. So I would say ballads. Let me pull up my metronome here real quick. Ballads, I would say, are about 60 or no. Let's 8 max about 80 BPM, I think. Slow swing can also be 80 BPM, but like I would say that's where the crossover is. So like right about 80 BPM. Franco, yes, I have to get off right on time because Sterling, if you're a member of Jazz Piano School, is doing the tune a month for you guys at 10 a.m. Okay, and if you're a member, you'll receive the link. You just received the link, but I got to get going on this stuff so I can get off. Now, the good thing is slow swing, medium swing, and fast swing all have the same approach. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my shells that we learned from the ballad and the harmonizations in the middle, and I'm going to use these for the most part to comp when the melody is holding. So check it out. This melody note is a dotted half note. This sharp 11 is very weird, right? So I don't really know where that's coming from, but so essentially, what I need to do, like someone asked before, I think Randall or someone, Losis, is create a groove now, right? And if I do this slower, and the way I'm going to do that is I can do it one of two ways. I can have this is very, very, very important, so listen closely. I can create a groove by comping in the middle of my melody and my bass note with chords between my two hands. I would say this is the easiest way to create the groove. Check it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on this melody note, the B flat, I'm harmonizing that, okay? I should use shells to harmonize it. I wasn't demonstrating that properly, but you should use your shells to harmonize your melody note so it would go. Now, after I've played the melody note, which is a dotted half note on this A natural, my right hand is going to jump down. The reason for that is because we need to consistently hold the time and groove. Because you don't need to hold this melody note down here. We have a role and a responsibility playing solo piano to hold that groove. And the best way to do that, to make your tune swing, is with a combination of two types of beats, a downbeat and an upbeat. Okay, a downbeat and an upbeat. So usually my downbeat will be my melody, and then my upbeat will be my chord in the middle. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now it's okay to not have a downbeat and an upbeat every time. Like on this D minor 7, we have melody. And again, the way that I'm harmonizing this is the exact same way I showed you guys in the ballad method. Bass note, melody, shells. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now the second way to do this, which is the harder one, is to do single note melody lines and have your left hand do everything. And I call this the broken stride method. This is what I use for medium to fast swing tunes because the tempo is going by so fast that I don't have time really to go. I mean, I do kind of in this melody because there is a lot of holds in this. But usually, let's say I'm playing a tune like There Will Never Be Another You, the melody is consistently going. There's so much melody that in a medium swing tune like There Will Never Be Another You, I don't have time to harmonize with those melodies. So the only thing I can do to get the bass in, to get the shells in, to get the rhythm in is use my left hand to support all of that. And this, everyone, is why playing medium swing and fast swing tunes is obviously the most difficult because the time is going fast. So I might do this. Now on that note, the melody holds there, so guess what? It gives me an opportunity to execute the method I just showed you where my right hand is playing the melody, my left hand's playing the bass note, and my middle fingers in between are comping rhythms to hold the tempo and groove. But the only reason I'm able to do that there is because the melody is holding. If the melody is consistently moving, I have to use my left hand, my broken stride, to support everything I'm doing. Here it is a little bit slower. So melody's moving, my left hand's gonna support. Now broken stride is a whole other thing, right? Broken stride is the hardest thing in solo piano to learn because what's happening here is my bass, I'm choosing different options in my left hand. I'm choosing bass notes, full chords, that's one option. Bass note shells is another option to uphold the time and rhythm and harmonies. 1s and 10s I'm using sometimes, 1s and 7s. These are all options for my left hand to, again, get bass notes in, get rhythm in, and get harmonies in while my right hand's playing fast-moving single note melody lines. But in a slow swing tune like this, where there's lots of space, clearly you can see on the A-flat major of Never Will I Marry, that's a dotted half note, and then it goes to more half notes, and then another dotted half note. So there's lots of space here. So I can go like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now Now, again, when the melody is just holding there, a lot of times I take my right hand and I come down here. I use my rootless voicings to comp for myself with bass notes. So again, I might go. So I hit the melody note. I harmonize with my melody just in the exact same way I taught you from the ballad approach, right? Bass note, shells, melody. I'll fill in with one note or maybe an extension, the 9. And then I'll come down here to play that D7 chord because there's no melody. I'm using a rootless voicing in my right hand. And then harmonizing, rootless voicings. So at a slow swing tempo, there's a couple of really important points you want to be aware of, right? Is the melody moving quickly and continuously fast, right? Are there lots of melody notes you need to handle? Because if there are in the tune you're playing, if you're doing a slow swing tune, or any tune, slow swing, medium, or fast swing, if there's lots of melody notes, you're probably going to need to support your melody mostly with your left hand, right? But if the melody is holding, like a lot, Just Friends is another tune. There's so much space for me to comp, again, with my, in between my melody and my bass note there. The melody's not really moving on Just Friends, barely. Obviously, there are times when it is moving, but when the melody is stationary, comp in between with your shells, and then if you can add chord tones to fill it up, that's all you got to do. And you don't even need to hold this melody. Again, guys, anytime you see a melody note that's like a half note, a dotted half note, a whole note, you do not need to hold it. Play the melody and then go comp for yourself, right? So here's Just Friends. I'm going to harmonize the melody note every time it's below a chord, and then I'm going to leave the melody, comp for myself. And I can do this in a slow swing style too. 1, 2, 3. 2. Rootless voicing. Rootless voicing. Comp. Comp. Melody. Harmonize. Comp. Comp. Now I'm leaving the melody because those melody notes are so long, right? Again, the greatest example, There'll Never Be Another You. If I were to play that fast, like 280. Anytime that melody sits, I'm comping. Like I'm utilizing that space to comp. But if the melody's moving, my left hand's doing everything. So I don't have time to do any of the methods that I've taught you, okay? I'm going to wrap up here, guys, give you guys 3 minutes to get on Sterling's live cast. If you are a member, he's going to be going over the tune Alone together. If you're not a member, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will repurpose this as a podcast. Again, one more time, there are spots open in my live teaching and programs that are happening right now. If you would like to enroll in those or you're interested in learning how to study with me more, study with the students in the program as well, just shoot me an email at support@jazzpianoschool.com, or you can email me personally at brendanlowe@jazzpianoschool.com. Emmanuel, thanks so much. Emmanuel says, you're the best. Thank you. I appreciate it. Always Blues, great teaching. Thank you, Always Blues. Thank you, Losis. Roger, very enjoyable. I will learn, fall in love with the boredom of the drill. Yes, the drills aren't fun, everyone, but you're going to make the most amount of progress when you're the least comfortable. Okay, remember that. You're going to make the most amount of progress in anything in life, when you're the most uncomfortable, the most bored, and struggling the most. Struggle equals growth. Struggle equals growth. So if we're not drilling the stuff we don't know, we're not making progress. Some people are okay with that. Some people, I said this analogy to my fiance the other day. Some people just want to go play golf. They don't care about getting better. That's okay. They don't want to go to the driving range. They just want to go play golf. You know why? Because it's fun, right? If that's you, that's fine. But if you want to get better and you're sick of being in the same spot at jazz piano, guess what? You have to have the discipline, the patience to do the stuff and drill the things that you don't know how to do and work through the boredom, work through the tedious notions and process of drilling this stuff, and that's what's going to get you better. Okay? Struggle equals growth. Remember that, guys. Hey, have so much fun. Again, shoot me an email if you guys are interested in my live programs. Go have fun with Sterling, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. See you guys. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of our free, amazing education, all of the free podcast blogs. We do have a membership if you're looking to take a next step forward with us, get access to over 1,000 different jazz piano videos, playbooks, mini courses, a main course curriculum, success path, and so much more. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@jazzpianoschool.com. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy practicing.